Hello, wealthy women. I am so excited because today it is going to be a magical interview, another amazing success story. And I cannot wait to introduce you to this very soulful, human, beautiful woman. Her name is Angela. And rather than me just go ahead and explain everything because I'll talk for hours about her. Let me just pass over the video now to her so she can go ahead and tell you a little bit about her business and where you can find her and what she does. And then we'll get into our success questions as you have come to expect. So here we go. Take it away, Angela.
Hi. So my name is Angela Reda. I am a mom of two, a wife. I also am a child development specialist, an educator, and also recently trauma-informed certified as an inner child work practitioner and mindset coach. So basically what I do is I really help women, more so womanpreneurs that are really finding themselves in self-sabotage mode, unfulfilled, in unhealthy or toxic relationships, really be able to go in and unblock and heal anything that's holding them back, possibly triggers, to really live that joyful and purposeful life. So the way I do this is I really focus on the early year environments, because as we know, pretty much from 0 to 7 years old, 70% of our brain is shaped around our early childhood experiences. So we really got to dive in deep into those deep rooted issues to really be able to bring everything up to the surface to heal and then be able to interrupt. So I also have a holistic approach to this, as there's a spiritual component. I look at the mind, the body, the soul. So I really like to also focus on past lives. So there's a little bit of that work involved with this as well. A way for individuals to reach me, I do have a website. It's www.theangela, so Angela, Reda, RED as in dog, a.com. So www.theangelareda.com.
Perfect. Well, I love this. I know that when we had our original chat together, I was just truly moved by your work and the depth and scope of what you're doing and how it will really just beautifully help women get more in touch with parts of themselves they probably didn't even realize were, lurking. And you're so correct. Also, my background being in education, this is very true about the neurotransmitters and dendrites that from that 7-year mark, we are really very formed in some regard. And we really have to go back to those early stages to find out where we got blocked and how to unblock it. And many of us don't realize it goes that far back. And like you said, maybe even beyond that. And I love that your work is going to find the blocks so people can clear it and then go ahead and live the beautiful lives that they want to live, in all parts of their life. So I'm probably going to get ready to ask you a couple of questions now, and then we will, find out about your journey, your own personal journey, how you overcame things, the success story, basically. So let me go ahead and put on my little glasses here. And let me just kind of ask you, so we know about your business and like the impact and why it is so important. And I love everything about it. What would be your big vision for your business? If you can imagine yourself, 10, 15, 20 years from now with your business, what does that look like?
So for me, that's really going to look like a lot of flexibility. I really want to start to create these online programs. So whether they're online self-paced courses or even some group programs where, I bring in the community together, we go into some inner child work together. All these things are sort of what I want to do with my business. And also, to be honest, quite frankly, I do want to eventually have my own holistic retreat center. So that's my big goal further down the line.
Beautiful. Well, it's interesting that you say that because this is definitely on my radar too. I'm a huge person that loves travel and food and dining. And I said to myself, I need to create retreats that are, about wealth and money mindset coaching, what I do, but also add in yoga and meditation and fine gourmet foods and wine and
Yeah.
hiking and all the things. And so I love that you are also thinking that, and you never know, maybe we'll collaborate and hold retreats where we have different people doing different things and make it great for everybody. So there's some future
Great.
thinking there. Love
Definitely.
this idea. Love it. Okay, let me go to the next question then.
Sure.
Um, I am all about, like, my whole company is about doing wealthy woman activities so that you're empowered. They can be the littlest things, like drinking your coffee out of a fine china cup. All
Mhm,
these little things happen to up level you. In fact, I have a story that just happened to me, and
mhm.
then I will ask you the question.
Sure.
So I happen to love wine. I don't drink it that often, but I was finding myself, I would always say, okay, what is a good tasting wine, but that's really like cheap, and like not so expensive.
Right.
And the interesting thing is, I said, I caught myself, because we all do this. I might be a money coach, but I make these like little errors where I don't catch it right away.
Yeah.
So I went to the store the other day and I bought a expensive bottle from Italy, an expensive bottle from Spain, and an expensive bottle from France. And this just elevated my my whole sense of self at that moment. So then I have to do all of my business. Do you know, it went so flawlessly. New clients came on board. It was as if somehow this little act of self-care and self-love and up
Mm.
leveling something small in my life
Right.
rolled over. So I truly believe this. My whole company is kind of about that. So in regards to that, how
Yes.
do you practice being a wealthy woman every day? Like,
Uh,
what habits or rituals do you
yeah.
practice to up-level your own mindset? And do
Yeah.
you see a difference when you are treating yourself in this way
Mhm.
compared to the days that you might have had where, you're buying the so-called cheap bottle of wine, so to speak?
Yeah. So I really, first thing in the morning, I like to connect with my heart, with my breath. I like to set the intention for the day. So that's the first thing I do in the morning, just to start off my day. Then I like to do about 7 times a day, as they say in neuroscience. If you do this about 7 times a day, words of affirmations, that this is really going to help you be able to energetically start to expand, being able to feel like you're living in that life is
Mhm.
really going to help you feel that way, act that way. So sort of like Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, how he talks about this with the manifestation. So lots of words of affirmations to really start to raise that vibration, to elevate that. So I do that. I do journaling, whether it's because I use my intuition. So I will either journal through just my inner self, but I also will channel, and I'll talk with my loved ones, my guides, like whoever
Love
comes through to me. I will sit there and I will journal, do a lot of inner work that way, as well as even 20 minutes a day walking. I've been really taking to walking. Just, it's really, really good for the body, helping the parasympathetic nervous system, which is really that calm, rest, digest state, because a lot of time we're in hypervigilant mode where we're in our sympathetic. So that's when we're always feeling so high alert, we're more moody, we're more irritable. So really to help calm the body. Also, it helps with the stagnation, like the energy flow. So if there's stagnant energy, it really helps alleviate that. So I do that, as well as I drink lots of water throughout the day just to really detox my body. So those are some of.
I Yes, I love this. I love a lot of what you do. I do as well. I wake up and I do my morning meditation.
Yeah.
I just really kind of call in my whole spirit and soul, and
Mhm.
and it really just sets the day right. I'm a huge believer in walking, because walking to me is almost like a walking meditation. It's not about exercise. I don't walk super fast. I notice nature. I absorb all the beauty of it, and I just find it really is helping to get that day started, especially in the morning, and smoothies and so forth. But I like what you just said also about the 7 times of the affirmation, because what initially hit me with that is we might say an affirmation once or twice, and because it's new, we sort of like, nah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that, right? And then like you said, if you say it enough, that starts to become more normalized and you start to accept it more. So I can see how highly beneficial it would be to make sure you're saying your affirmations at least 7 times in a row. That's something that I will start doing, because I can't say that I was doing it that many times.
I would say 7 times per day. So not necessarily 7 times in a row. You want to do it
Gotcha.
a day, because you want
Okay.
to keep your energy consistent, try to keep that elevation up, that energy,
Okay.
right?
Even
Yeah.
better, even better
Yeah.
advice. Yes, I
Yeah.
love this. I love this. Okay, let me go to the next question. Really
Sure.
excellent. And you can tell you know exactly what you're talking about with the sympathetic and the whole 9 yards. So
Right.
what is your favorite way to practice being inspired? Like when you're looking for inspiration.
Yeah. So a lot of what I do is I like a lot of reading. I also like to listen to podcasts. I like to find communities of individuals that are like-minded, that are open to growth, that, really want to take on that entrepreneurial mindset. As I find the more that you're hanging around those like-minded individuals, filling yourself in with all that, the more that's going to keep you motivated and keep you wanting to continue going for that next goal.
That is so true, because a lot of the time we're starting businesses let's say in the beginning, and we are so passionately excited. We are on fire. Like we're just like, we can't wait to get started. And then what do we typically do? We tend to share it with our partners, our family, and as beautiful and lovely as they are, it
Yes.
doesn't always land well, right? It doesn't always land well. They sometimes even look at us like, what's
Yes.
going on there? So to
Yeah.
have that community to let you know that you are on track. It might not be the track that your partner's on, or your mom or your dad or your brothers or your sisters or friends even, but that
Yes.
doesn't mean it's the wrong track. And it is so important, ladies. I just want you to listen to what you said. Make sure you're finding the right networks that support you as a woman in business, because it is just such a beautiful experience. There is no longer, that I can see in quite a while, there's no longer this competitive edge with women. It's about collaboration. Everybody wants to help each other. It's a very beautiful, safe environment. And I just definitely encourage you, if you're just starting your business out and you're not getting exactly the cheerleading you're hoping for, trust me, you will find it, and quite easily. Just make sure you network in the right group. So great advice there. Great. Next question. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. And I have a feeling I know how you will answer this, but for a lot of us, I mean, we all have these bad days. We procrastinate. We have tired energy, whatever. We're just not in the mood, even if we love our business. So when you are having a bad day or a mental funk, like of some sort, how do you fix it? Or do you just allow it to happen and give yourself a break for that day? What do you do?
So that's very common. It's very normal. Even the most successful people will tell you they have those days where they just don't feel very good. They're in a funk. And guess what? We're entitled to have our rest too, and to really just be able to have some downtime. So when you're feeling that way, my advice would be to go with it. Listen to your body. You really want to listen to your intuition. As we are all intuitive, we all have that capability. We've just become so numb and disconnected based on our environments and our social structure that we don't even know right from left. So really listening to that body, having that day to rest, and giving yourself, some compassion during that time, because you'd be amazed, as sometimes that's all you need is that one day, and even 2 days, to give yourself that rest. And then you pick yourself back up, and you start by what I believe in, and again from my child development background, is you really want to take baby steps. So sort of like when I'm thinking of a baby when they're first born, right? Like it starts with the inner core here. and then it goes out to their limbs. This is how they learn how to function. So, you know, they first learn to roll, then they learn to sit up, then they learn to, you know, use their legs and start to climb, right? So it's all these little baby steps. So taking those baby steps and like rewarding yourself along the way
Oh,
is really
yes.
be huge, you know?
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. And the interesting thing that I found is initially for me, it doesn't always happen this way, but quite often when I feel like I can't, you know, and if I have the chance to, like if I don't have scheduled meetings or whatever, and I, you know, let's just say it's an administrative day where I could kind of pass it to another day. I start with that guilt, like I really should do this. I really should. And that's like forcing. And then I just, like you said, I just say, you know what? Let me just not do it and stay in my PJs maybe all day if I want to. Just I give myself the pass. The interesting thing that usually happens is when I allow that, and allowance is such a thing. When I allow that, I typically come up with these most creative ways to do my business and improve things. And it is actually that so-called lazy day is sometimes the most inspired and productive day, but just in a different manner, right? So yeah,
Yes,
we have to allow that. So,
for sure.
okay, let's see. What next question? What was one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome when you were just starting your business, when you were thinking, you know, that kind of like moment of the thought and then the launching of it?
Yeah. So for me, I would say it was really coming out of my comfort zone because and this goes back to, you know, why I'm so passionate about inner child work is I struggled a lot growing up with mental health since 14 years old, all the way up into, you know, adolescent years. I was on medication for majority of my life. It wasn't up until a few years back when I really started the healing journey for myself that I was able to get off of the medication myself. And not to say like medication's great and if you need it, by all means, like not to bash medication. But in some cases, like for myself, I was able to heal enough because we're never fully healed in one life. We know this. So we're always going to have to grow and evolve and work, like no matter how old we get. But I was able to nip that part in the butt with my mindset, with the healing of my body, and really come into, I guess, ultimately my power, right? So
Yes.
for me, I want to say it was being heard, it was being seen by launching, you know, programs, well, my one-to-ones, I should say, and packages through my social media page, you know, even getting out there into the community, starting to really network. For me, who was just really, really shy, who never thought I could amount to anything in life, I really, really, really had to spend lots of time healing, shifting that mindset to get to even here. Like for me to be here today is huge.
I love
Yeah. And I just, you know, if I think about it, like, and I don't want to get emotional, but like, it just goes like, I'm just so proud that I'm able to do this today and that I'm here with you. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
now you got me having tears in my eyes. I love this because thank you for that because your story is the story of so many that they have such gifts to give the world, and there's so much beauty and depth and
Yeah.
love that wants to come out. And it's so easy for us to sometimes get in our own ways and block ourselves, and
Yeah.
it takes great power and strength and self-love to be able to allow that. And even like you said, even if it's baby steps, it's okay that it takes a while. There's no race here. You're
No.
always just trying to improve and grow a little bit more than you were yesterday, and the only competition you have is with your own self to just constantly try and improve. And just look at these great strides that you have done, and you have such beautiful gifts that you're offering the world. And please, women, you have to check out her website. She has gorgeous programs that will be so helpful to you. And this is the thing, you're making such a difference in people's lives, and
Thank
it was
you.
because you got in front of that fear. because you have a gift to share. And I love this because I forget who originally said it, but it's more or less, I don't remember the exact phrase, but it's sort of like your gift has to be given out. And if you get in your own way, then you don't have the opportunity to help those that need you. And so it's kind of becomes the most loving thing that we can do for others by getting out of our own ways, right? Yeah.
Oh, yes, totally.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. And this is what I mean about inspired interviews and success stories, because that right there, just, I'm so proud of you, and you are just amazing, and you're radiant, and what you offer is just amazing. So you just keep going and getting it out there in the world. And this is kind of interesting because the next question was, how do you deal with fear and doubt? And it's really, I mean, if you had a moment, let's just say, well, you, like you said, even today, that you were maybe a little nervous to do the interview. Like, what was it that just said, you know what, I'm just doing it? Like, if you could give someone a tip, if they were feeling that moment, like maybe it's the first Facebook Live they're ever going to do, or maybe they got called to be on an interview on TV or something like that. Do you have a tip for them based, obviously on your own experience that you're doing?
You got to get out there. You just got to do it. You got to face that fear and just nip it in the butt. Like, really, that's really all it is. Our ego wants to keep us always safe, always in the same routines, always in the same thought process, that it takes time for us to be able to shift and rewire those neural pathways, to be able to really evolve and shift as a person, right? So the more that you're getting yourself out there, the more you're challenging your fears, the more you are starting to do that work, to really start to shift, to be who really you are at that soul level.
I love this. And it's sort of like a muscle in a way. And then you realize your biggest fear, not even close to happening. I mean, we make these big monsters sometimes in our heads. And then when we actually do the thing that we're afraid of, there's nothing but positive, receptive energy typically. And even here's one thing that this might help everybody that's listening. And I might have even mentioned it in another interview before, because I found it powerful.
Right.
I have a coach, and she's amazing. And she is so well known and like a big deal. And she's so excited to bring her business forth in the beginning, but she was talking about how she was really afraid to kind of put herself out there. And I love what her husband did. So her husband, she was afraid of all of the trolls on social media that just say horrible things that are completely unrelated to anything and serve nobody any good purpose. Right. And I think we're all afraid of that, and it never feels good, right? It's horrible. And so anyway, she was feeling this fear, and she had so many gifts to give as well. And her husband found this little, let's just imagine she's a little grandma in an apron baking sugar cookies, and she's sharing this on her Instagram. What could be wrong with a little grandma baking cookies, right? Well, her husband found deep in the comments a bunch of trolls just saying, oh, she's this, oh, she's that, like tearing this little old grandma baking cookies. And her husband, what he did, he said to his wife, listen, look, this little grandma is even getting, hate mail, so to speak. You just can't pay attention to it. You got to get over it. And it just clicked with her in that moment, like, oh my goodness. So rather than think you can avoid that, just accept it. Just accept that there's those people that have nothing better to do, and ignore them. Put your blinders on and go do your work. Go do your mission and help people, right? Because it can truly stop you in your tracks if you get paralyzed by fear of what other people will think. And that's okay. We're all human, and we all don't like, that icky feeling. We'd rather all be loved and hugged, but it's not a reality. But at the same time, it's not important. So yeah, I love what you just said. It's sort of like just jump, and the net will appear, so to speak, right? You just have to do it, and then build up that muscle. And then you know what, you might get a couple like negative comments or whatever, and they probably will really hurt and sting the first time. And then when you realize they happen again, then you're like, oh, all right, whatever. I got things to do. You don't even pay attention to it
You
anymore.
don't. And
So
I feel like the more too that you do the inner work for yourself, the less phased and bothered you're really gonna, because you
it's
know
so
that you're there to help a group of people. And those are the
right.
ones that you're going to. And you probably have so many more great comments that
Yes.
on those versus those one or two.
It's so true what you're saying, because a lot of the times we just focus on what is wrong with us or what negative thing was said instead of saying what is great about me and what great comment did I receive. So you are so right. It is also about what you choose to focus on. And so I'm glad that we spent a few minutes on this, because this is a big deal, especially because there just is no way to not be visible anymore if we are women and really wanting to have an online business.
Yeah.
You know, there was a while where we could consider maybe doing a Facebook Live or never and hide behind and just do the
Right.
whole thing. And now it's like, no, we can't. So this conversation that we just had is probably very important to a lot of people that will watch it, that are at that very first stage where they are panicking and, you know, getting nervous. And I can tell you from my experience, after I did a Facebook Live about 3 times, I just was like, I'm over the fear. It's good. And then I used to be like, oh, I should get my hair colored and this, that. And then I'm like, no, I'm just being me. I'm here to share a message, right? And help people. It's not about me. It's about them. So
Right.
yeah, I love it. And we all go through it, right? So,
Mhm.
okay, next question. Uh, yeah, well, this was a comfort zone question, so I'm just going to pass that one. And this one too. Well, no, this is a little different. Do
Okay.
you agree that mindset is more important than systems and strategies, and why?
Yes, definitely. Because if you're not in a good place in your mindset, then there's no way you're going to be able to get out there to the world and share your gifts and your knowledge, because you're going to be the one holding yourself back. So no amount of marketing or mindset is going to do anything, because ultimately, to attract those soul aligned, those clients that you want to bring in, it's all about, again, doing your inner work, really doing all the work so that you can then be so magnetic that basically the source, the universe, God, Allah, whoever you want to call the higher being from above, is going to naturally start to allow that to all flow in. The abundance just starts to flow in naturally.
So true. And it's about allowing it, right? There's this
Yes.
allowing. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so important. And instead of blocking, you must allow. So do you believe, and you know, I just feel it. So I kind of know, but maybe you can even share along with your affirmations if you do anything different. But do you believe that you can manifest your desires? And how do you personally do this? And have you had success manifesting what you desired? Like, it can be anything from finding that parking spot to making your dream come true, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes. So definitely. So this goes back to the mindset work as well as the somatic work. So what we are learning more and more through research, it's not only the psychological mind that we need to now go ahead and begin to heal. It's also the body. The body stores a lot of memory in the tissue. And if we are not working with the mind and body, you're not going to be in total alignment. So this is huge piece of manifestation. And this is something that is so, so important for everybody wondering how to manifest, or, you know, looking at manifestation like it's almost like a hoax. It's really, really not.
no,
I have
it's
done
not.
tons of research. I have seen so much success with other people, and as well as now in my own personal life. You know, I have been able to start to really manifest, you know, again, where I've come from, even going back to school for me. So I was in my 30s. I want to say I was about 32-ish when I decided to go back to school. I had a son, 18, my second child, he was 18 months at the time. And I said to myself, I'm going to go back to school. I was a child who struggled in school. I had a mild learning delay. I was told, you know, through teachers or others, just thoughts, feelings of, basically I may not be university material. So I held on to that for years. I didn't know my worth. I didn't have much. I grew up in a traditional family where the father's the breadwinner, the mother either stays at home or she gets a mediocre job. So this was sort of what I grew up with. This is the mindset I had. So when I got married, had my children, I was like, wait a minute, I want to have more for my family. I was fulfilled, I should say, in my job. I was an EA for 12 years. And then I decided, okay, you know what? I need to go back to school. And it's really, this is where my growth mindset and everything just started to shift for me, because when I went into the Masters of Teaching program after I finished my bachelor with child development, I literally started to go through this awakening and learning about social injustice issues that just hit me to the core. Losing my grandmother back in December of 2022 was like a second mother to me. I just started questioning everything. And this is where my life shifted. This is when I realized, okay, I need to dig deeper in my inner core. I need to do something because I wasn't happy in a lot of ways in my life. And I was like, I need to do something. And then this is when I decided to start the healing journey. And here I am. I found out this is my passion. Inner child work is literally my passion.
I love this. I really love what you said. And I think I wanted to touch on one point. So maybe that you can help all of us. So a lot of us, we know about manifesting. We do it. We think we do it. We do have success with it. But I like this idea of the somatic piece, the body part. So can you give me and all of the listeners kind of an example of what does that mean with the mind and the body at once?
Okay, so
for manifesting.
Just to go in, sorry, because I didn't really fully answer that. So you have to really visualize. So you really want to vision whatever it is that you want to bring in that is abundant for you. And when you do that, you're going to start to feel it, like almost like you're living it. You want to really feel it in the body. Now, what I know with manifestation is this is why the body piece is so important, because we need to be able to heal our nervous system enough where our energy in our body can then sustain raising your vibration, your elevation, because we as humans have lower vibrational energy. So to work on that, you really have to, this is where the healing the body piece, because you're not going to be able, because we all have moments where we have enlightenment, we have bliss, and we might have 2-3 days of feeling so good on a high and just feeling really, really great. But guess what? Our bodies can't sustain that energetically, and we come back down. Right? So this is where the healing of the body, because with the brain and the body, you now need to be able to raise that elevation, but also clear those limiting beliefs, those blockages on an unconscious level. Because if you're not healing that on an unconscious level, even though you may subconsciously unaware think that I'm deserving of this, well, guess what? If you're not getting it, it's because somewhere deep down inside, there's some kind of block holding you back, limiting you and your abilities. So with that being said, this is what, I hope I'm making sense here, but this is.
You are, I mean, and I am just feeling your passion and really wanting to say to all of the women watching this, please work with you, Angela, because this is the thing. I just feel like a lot of us are manifesting a little bit on the surface level. We think we just have to think the thoughts and close our eyes and read our affirmations. And this is better than nothing for sure. And I do believe that it can work, but you are taking it to a whole deeper level that I don't think that there's probably a good portion of us that are not with the skill set knowing even what that means and how to do that. And I love that this is your work, because I know that we all pretty much believe in manifesting because we've seen it happen. We've willed things into our worlds and there's proof of it. And I'm a big believer that once you have that desire in your heart, it has to happen. It's not if it will happen, it has to happen, because it wouldn't be there if it wasn't meant for you. The only thing is the how and the when. However, I like that with your skill set, you can help people get even more in touch to make that manifestation happen more clearly, cleanly, quickly, and absolutely meant for the person. And so, yeah, I just really think that is very fascinating. If you had like one trick, like not trick, that's maybe the wrong word, but if you had one suggestion, if someone's on their meditation mat and they're doing meditating, they're visualizing, they're trying to manifest, what is one physical thing that they could do on their own that is without like going into all of what and of course, but what is something that they can practice with? Is it like tapping? Is it, what would you suggest?
So they're
Just so they have like one thing to walk away with that maybe they can start putting into practice.
Yeah, so I definitely would recommend to really start to connect with your breath. Breath work is huge. Like there's a lot of different somatic practices. Breath work is one of the biggest ones when it comes to somatic work. There's also yoga. So even going and doing some yoga practices, like those you can find easily on YouTube. There is the EMT tapping, like the tapping of the forehead. So what this does is you're tapping, and there's like meridians in your, I guess, in your tissues, and so it's supposed to help disperse the energy. So I know, for instance, if you're really in your head and you're always thinking a lot, like doing this to your forehead is supposed
it's kind of like a pattern interrupt almost too.
Yeah, so these are things that you can start doing. But what I would really suggest is connect with your breath. You're really going to want to do, so what I typically do is 4 breaths in through the nose, 5 breaths out through the mouth. You want to do this probably about 6 or 7 times, where you're going to start to feel like a calm sensation over your nervous system as you start to activate that parasympathetic nervous system. So that's sort of one of the practices that I would recommend, is really start to focus on breaths, even in moments where you're feeling triggered, when you become aware enough, because the first few times you may not be aware, but then when you do start to become aware, even then it can take some time before you're able to start to take the action, because
you catch it.
This is like, years and years of conditioning, right? Again, this is childhood.
It takes time.
It takes time. And this is where the gentleness, the compassion, the self-love for yourself really needs to come into place here, because
I love that. So I guess I had a question. So like, if someone is doing the breath work, are they thinking the manifesting thoughts at that moment, or are they doing the breath work with kind of like emptying their mind and then thinking about the manifesting thoughts?
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah, I would recommend first, like really trying to clear your mind, getting yourself out of, the stressors of the day, any anxieties, depression, whatever it may be that you're feeling in your body. You really just want to get into that calm, relaxed state.
Got it.
And then, start to visualize what it is that you want to bring in. But to take this a step deeper, as much as you're feeling it, because what I notice, and this takes time, but where I'm at in my journey is I'm at a point now where if I'm having some blockages, I can actually feel it in my body, and I'm able to say to myself, oh, wow, I have more unconscious work I need to do on myself to be able to actually bring that in, to manifest that in. So that is where I'm at in my journey, but I know this can take a while to get to. So I would even start by if you're feeling any type of resistance, or your mind starting to think negatively again, start to really critically reflect and think, okay, well, where is this coming from? And try to find similar patterns from your early childhood that may have made you feel that way, may have made you think that way, right? So these are all things that we can start to do. It's really about going inwards.
I love this. I really love what you're saying, because now you sort of kind of created a roadmap, so to speak, where get into the breath work or do some yoga stretches so you're aware of your body and you're relaxing in, then bring in the manifesting thoughts. And then, like you said, if you're having an off day and you're triggered by something, rather than just allow yourself to get triggered, notice it. And the more you notice it, the more of a habit it will become, that you catch it quicker. And then try and connect it back. Find out where does that feel familiar from my childhood. I think that this is amazing. Your knowledge, your ability to be able to help people is just shining through on what an expert you are in this field and how much you can help people to go into much more deeper levels than there's so much that we can do that we don't even know that we can do. And I just love that you can be a guide for people on this to help them with this stuff. So thank you. I'm glad that we spent a good amount of time on manifesting, because I know it's so important, right?
It is. And just to add, if you're okay with that, because I know I didn't really
Please,
answer myself, but for the manifestation for me, some of the things that I've been able to really manifest, was being able to then, start this entrepreneurial business, which was huge for me. With my family, I had a lot of challenges, a lot of unhealthy, toxic relationships with, family, as well as my husband. So I had a lot of karmic stuff I had to unravel. So I was able to, really start to build those secure, healthy relationships with family, as well as with my husband. Like, I was at the point where I was ready to sign those papers and say, let's call it a day. We're done. Like, that's where I was at. And I am so grateful that we were able to get over that hump and where we're at today. And again, like, it's always going to be a work in progress, but we have definitely grown so much together. Even him, who's not a spiritual person, but he's been able to become so much more consciously aware, things that he never would have a couple years ago. He's now saying, you know what, I can reflect now, I can see this now, where before he wasn't able to. So there's just so much that has shifted for me in the last even year. Yeah, so that, there's that for me.
I love that. And it's making me think that, like, here you can help so many women to break the blocks. And of course, if it's the business they're building, but even if they're having relationship troubles, that your work can help them save something if it's meant to be that way. I love that, that you have this success story in your marriage, in your with your family, it's in your business. And that is the whole thing. I think the point is once you start fixing this, there's that holistic nature to it, right? Where you're not just blessed, in your business and your finances, but you're blessed in your relationships, you're blessed in your health, because all of a sudden you realize it's the whole complete package that has to be functioning. And if you are thinking with your mind and your body and connecting them, well, this is the whole experience of life. We experience our relationships with our mind and our body, our businesses with our mind and our body, our health, obviously, with our mind and our body. And so I think just, having these key foundational points that that we're just touching the surface. I know your work is so deep and so helpful to people, but just what you're saying right now, it is all clicking and making so much sense. Right. What you're saying. So I just love that, it's fantastic. And let me see if I have another great, but this was beautiful. This whole portion of this, fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me just see. Okay, let me do this one. How do you define success? Like, what does it look like in the day, in the life of you, like in a practical way?
Yeah. So in a practical way.
Like, meaning, like, I guess the better question would be whether you're super wealthy or not, whether things are 100% perfect or not, what would be your go-to regardless of the outer circumstance that is a day of success for you?
A day of success for me is really all about mindset. It's those baby steps, setting that intention for the day and really doing my best, and I be gentle on myself the days that I don't fulfill that, but really trying more consistently to fill those baby steps throughout the day, because when I do, just the amount of like feeling almost like there's a weight lifted off your shoulders and just feeling so good about yourself and more energized, because it's like, wow, I actually accomplished, I was able to achieve what I set out for the day, is huge. And I gotta say, mindset and your perspective, you can be the most what's the like, maybe not have a whole lot of money, maybe having very little in your life, but guess what, some of those individuals are the most happiest people, because it's really, materialism is something that has been ingrained in us through society. But if we are able to really do that inner work, then it doesn't matter so much.
Yes, exactly. And this really speaks to the work that I do, because my company's name, Wealthy Woman Every Day, your instinct might be that it's all about money, and it's the exact opposite. Money to me is like the icing on the cake. That's great. I am all for it. And I want women to be very financially sound so they have more freedom and choices. I absolutely am a, huge supporter of women being financially independent. However, on the journey to that, and in the process of already becoming that, this is why I kind of said the question, whether you were wealthy or not wealthy, what's a day of success for you? And this is like the whole thing I believe in. It is about how you treat yourself. It is, for me, you wake up, you do your gratitude journal. I always say, if you can't be grateful for what you have, why should you be given more? We have to be thankful and grateful. It is the little things about, pouring your smoothie in maybe a fancy wine glass or a cocktail glass or a pretty glass. It doesn't matter, but it is about cleaning your makeup drawer that is so messy that every time you open it, it disturbs you. But then you finally take the 10 minutes, and 10 minutes it only took you, and it's now you feel elevated somehow. And it's all of these ways of, paying attention to what is going to make you feel better about your environment, yourself, the people you're with, and their little small daily actions. What you said, baby steps, right? And all of these accumulate to become a wealthy life. And yes, money adds to it, but if you had to lose all the money, could you still be happy? Because that is the most important part, because one never knows what can happen. So we can't just think that we'll eventually be happy when we achieve that outside thing. It has to start before anything else comes to you, and then you can always have it your whole life through, regardless of how circumstances go. So yeah, I agree with your answer and totally love this answer, and thank you for saying that. So
yes, of course.
Perfect.
What makes you abundant, like what's abundant for one person isn't necessarily for the other, right? And
absolutely.
and the more that we do that work in inner work, it's just interesting, because whatever abundance that you do envision for your life, it's naturally going to fall into place the more that you do that inner work. So you're going to be abundant no matter which way you look at it.
Oh, I love that. I love that, what you just said. You're going to be abundant no matter what, basically, no matter whatever way you look at it. So no need to worry. You already have arrived in your abundance. And how true is this? Just to be able to be alive and enjoy this world. That's abundance right there. So, okay. What is your very favorite? No, we kind of touched on that one. I don't want to really, let me see.
Yes.
Okay, this might be a good one. What is your best advice for self-transformation if someone is not in a position to work with a coach?
Yeah. So if someone is not in a position to work with a coach, then I would say, there's a lot of things that you can find for free. If you go on Instagram, for instance, or TikTok, there are so many resources that coaches, healers, light workers, you name it, will put out there that are for free. So I would recommend getting some of those freebies. I would recommend going on YouTube, finding some prompts. There's a lot of prompts on there that can really help with, whether it's inner child work, whether it's you know, if you have a certain topic, like let's say it has to do with money blocks, or it has to do with worthiness, finding those prompts, just Google, and
Yes.
you'll find prompts that will be able to help you with that. You know, I think eating, really nutrition, if you can start eating more greens, more fruits, more vegetables, that alone is going to start to shift, because what we eat has a huge component in our mental health, in our physical
Yes.
health. So really taking that into consideration, you know, and starting off small, baby steps. Again, you know, you don't need to go full like cold turkey on everything, like slowly do the work. Rest. I highly recommend make sure that you're getting your 7 to 8 hours of sleep, whatever it is for your body that you need. That is huge. That will really
Yes.
set you up for the day. So having that rest, having a regimented schedule with that is huge. What else? I mean,
Lots of water, lots of nature, gratitude journal. I love everything. So like when someone wants to work with you, what would be like the way when you start with them? How do you start with your work, and then you will know how to help them down the path that makes most sense for them. And then just before we sign off, just let everybody know that what your website address is one more time. So, because I just think you're amazing and you have so many gifts to give, and everybody who comes into your world that you get to help, they will forever be changed for the better. And I just think that is such a magical gift to be able to give. And I'm just really so happy that you're in this, doing this, and shining your light and giving your gifts out there, because there's so much to learn from you. I learned so much just listening to you in this interview, as I know that everyone who watches this will also feel the same. So before we wrap up, let's just go ahead and just tell us a little bit more about your practice, and then where they can go ahead and find you again.
So right now I'm offering one-to-one as well as package sessions. So I have a 6-session package currently. I find with the work I do, it's important to be consistent. If you want to see shifts and transformation, one, just like if you were to go to westernized therapy, one session is not going to cut it. So I really am starting to push the group program, the packages, I should say, as I begin to start my group program as that evolves. So really, I take individuals into a meditative state. We want to get into that theta brainwave state, because that's where you can access the unconscious mind, the deepest layer of the psyche. You know, we deal with the chakra system. So I really help individuals start to unblock the 7 chakras, because that's your emotional energetic center points. So we really want to start working with that. We work again with loved ones, spirit guides, anybody that resonates, your higher self. So your higher self is sort of that version of you that your soul's been through each life. So they're the most wisest, knowledgeable person of you, right?
I love this. I mean, we haven't even gotten into this. This could be a whole other subject,
exactly.
right? Maybe we
all
have
of
to do
that,
another, right?
exactly.
This is amazing.
So
yes.
so I take them into this. We get to whatever the root cause, whatever they want addressed for that session. And then, you know, afterwards we have a little debrief about it. I will send resources based on the individual and their personalized needs. And that's pretty much in a nutshell what I do.
I love it.
Thank you. So again, you can find my website is www.theangelareda.com, as well as you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is where I'm more I focus more on. That is at _Angela_Reda.
Perfect. Well, I am truly moved by this beautiful success story of yours, and the just being a part of this. I feel elevated and up-leveled and inspired, and all of the great things that I'm just so grateful that you have shared your work with us, and your inspiration and your success story. And I just want to say thank you so much. And all the wealthy women watching this, I am sure that you are just as moved as I am. And please please do yourself a favor and go to her Instagram or the website. Just check out her work, because you know that you're going to be a better version of yourself when you follow some of the things that she's going to be able to help you with. So thank you so much for being a part of my success stories. And I'm really looking forward to getting your work out there. And thank you again for taking the time with me today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Okay, well, until next time, wealthy women, I will see you soon with another beautiful success story. And remember to stay inspired. There are tools out there and people out there to help uplift you and cheerlead your dreams on. And just remember, if the desire is in your heart, it will happen. It's just a matter of when and how, but you have to believe in your dreams and just keep going forward. So until next time, bye for now.